Hello, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas. Today's date, it's December 18th of 2022, and it's about 12:30 p.m. I haven't taken my morning meds yet, but I have them right here ready to take and wash down with Coca-Cola. Um, let's see, let's go to CNN News. I'm not really a sports fan at all, but Argentina won the World Cup. Um, the January 6th committee is considering how to handle uncooperative GOP lawmakers. Uh, really, these members of Congress who were basically, cooperating with former President Trump in insurrection and treason against the United States of America. I, I think legal steps should be taken against them, and they should be removed from Congress. Now, I think I'm not sure how many there are. I mean, some of them we know from things they said and are still saying. The one female, I forget her name, was just speaking before a group of right-wing, Republican people, and she was saying, that if she'd have been she was there, I think, but if she'd have been there at the January 6th, insurrection, I don't think she used the word insurrection though. If she'd have been there, that she'd have been there with some armed people, the ones that are being persecuted and are in, some of them that have been are persecuted well, I was doing the finger thing here. The ones that are being persecuted are in prison or going to prison, that if she'd have been there and, she'd have been there with armed people and the insurrection would have succeeded. I mean, there's one of the people, a member of Congress, what should happen is they should be, removed. And I don't know if that would be 6 people, Republicans, 7, 10, I don't know how many it would be. I mean, just think of the changes, that might get what I think the Republican Party, not the Trump zombies or whatever, but I think there are, people in the Republican Party that are like, oh my God, and they're probably not going to have what it takes to come out and say, I made a big mistake. I made a big mistake. How could I be so stupid and blah, blah, blah. They're not going to do that, but they're going to, they're gradually like, this is, this Trump is not helping us, and we need to go a different direction with somebody that's, somebody that's like the great man, Trump, except, not stupid, something like that. But I mean, if you now, with this thing that's going on, if they would just remove the ones who come, I'm talking about people, members of Congress, Republicans, who committed felonies, who committed crimes, if they would start by just removing them from Congress, that would change the numbers of, it would, back a long time ago when this, first started, I on one of my videos or whatever, I was saying, what the Republicans need is just to have their party hurt so bad that the Republicans, old-time Republicans or whatever, then they just need to put it back together, but, change, things that need to be changed. One thing being that, for the, the Constitution of the United States, to be President of the United States, what are the requirements? That you have to be 35 years of age, and you have to be born in the United States of America. That's it. But you know, the parties that we have, they can make the rules of who's going to, and they do. They hold conventions and everything else, and they just need to, change their, you have to, if you want to be the Democratic, of course the Democrats have, and in fact, everybody except the Russians, or everybody except the, I keep getting the Russians and the Republicans. I guess they both start with R or something. Uh, if if they hadn't filled their debate, like 15 people, and most of those 15 people were not, you know, not quality people, not quality candidates, not even for the Republican Party. And then they had, Trump up there. So these others who, might have been able to function at least, yeah, one of them could have been picked, but no, the others were all eliminated. And what was the Republican Party left with? Trump. With of course, the Democrats. Everybody, Anyway, the Republican Party needs to put in their, party that if you are going to be, a candidate and make it, for president and, vice president, and maybe make it for other, that you have, but especially for the president, make it that you have to disclose your finances, no holding back. You have to, show your tax returns and stuff like that. That would make, there's a lot of things they could do to make, a difference in the Republican Party, and they need to make a difference in the Republican Party. And two, I think what I said in the past was, what needs to happen is the Republican Party has to, the American people. Of course, it would have to be the American people, and that means Republicans too. It would just have to be like this election. We're not voting any Republicans. We're not sure enough. They're not going to be a presidential candidate running. They're not going to be a vice presidential candidate. Well, they can be running, but nobody would vote for, and do some other things like that. If they did that, and say a 4-year term, goes by, nobody votes for Republicans. Maybe do another, 8 years, do another 4 years. Nobody, we're not voting. Then the Republican Party, of course, before that, but the Republican Party would be, okay, what do we need to do to, what do we need to do to make sure that they don't do this to us again? And then if the Democrats would do something, they've never done anything that bad, but if the Democrat, then even you wouldn't have to do it at that point. If you just, if the voters just decided punish the Republicans, then the Democrats would be sitting there shaking in their boots. Oh my God! And then they'd be thinking about if we do this, the voters might decide to ban us for, you couldn't ban them like pass the thing, but just if the word went out and people just decided, okay, then the parties would change themselves. Right now they don't change themselves, and right now Democrats and Republicans, both, they're bribed. It's bribery. Money. The people show up at the, at Congress and at the offices of the, and say, hey, it would be just great if our the pharmaceutical people, it'd be just great if we could we're making, we're having a problem, like my Scrooge duck or whatever, We're having a problem. We've got, or like drug dealers, we've got all this money and whatever, but we want more, so, give us more, and I'm making a donation to your campaign because you're such a good congressperson or whatever. if and that could be changed, but there's no way. The Democrats aren't going to want to do it, and the Republicans are not going to want to do that. Especially, well, like I talked about in the past, what they need to do, is start out with the House. The government will fund the thing. You can't take money from people. If you're a congressman, a House member, you can't take money from somebody. And I even mentioned several times, that if a member of Congress were out on the steps of, heading home or whatever, and a dollar bill or something blew by and landed on his shoes, he should go. It should be a situation. Oh, Jesus Christ! My God, get that off of me! Get that off! Get away from That should be what you need to do. Put the fear of God in. Actually, put the fear of God in them. And you could do it by financing, so that they don't have to raise money. And, maybe make some other, changes. Maybe not having a 2-year term, maybe make it I don't know, maybe that's a good idea, it's in our Constitution. But no, and where do you get that money from if you don't take money from, from the people, but they're also, of course, they're getting it from pharmaceutical companies, major corporations, Walmart, Amazon, all that. That's where they're getting the money, and the money. These people come, with bags of money, and not exactly bags of money. They're too smart, but where do you get the money? Taxes, taxes on the people that have money, taxes on the pharmaceutical companies, taxes on, all these major corporations that are the very one. Find out, find out. Okay, how much did the hospital the whatever group represents hospitals, that shows up? How much did they give? Let's say, I don't know. Let's say that in the last election that they gave $200 million to politicians, to get them to do things, to make the hospitals more profitable or something like that. $200 million, okay. You're going to put $10 million, you have to pay $10 million in a special tax that goes into a fund that is going to finance, along with, the pharmaceutical company, whatever, I don't know how you'd work out the percentage, but take all that money and now don't spend all of it, but take in enough that, hey, okay, put it in and put it in a bank, not bitcoins or anything, put it in a bank or something, and then the next, when taxes come around, add to it and add to it and add to it, and finance, start out with members of the House, and they would not be allowed to take. But then there's other things you have to do because there are jobs offered. If you're a member of Congress or something, and they come to you and, you're not going to stay, or you're whatever, but if you'll do this for us, and there'll be a job for you. You don't actually have to show up at the XYZ corporation and actually occupy. You can just be at home or on your yacht or whatever, and we'll pay you for being an employee. You'd have to work on getting the laws, and I don't know how. I'm not sure if there's another country someplace outside of the United States. Maybe they have come up with some type of a system. Maybe Sweden. Sweden's taxes are pretty high because they fund health care, they fund retirement, and by taking taxes and stuff. Maybe they have some type of a plan. something we could steal. I don't know. Or we could come up. I bet you that someplace there are smart people who have drawn up, studies and things, and they're probably stacked in some, government warehouse or whatever. And they probably it's already been studied, and just then you take it out and get all the experts together and that kind of stuff, and figure out what's the best one of these, ways to go to do this. But right now in the United States, it's bribery, corporations, and and it's not all bad corporations. It's the National Association for Retired People. It's all types of organizations. One thing, nobody's going to do it because they're afraid to do it, and the other side would use it. Republicans would use it against the Democrats if the Democrats tried it. The Democrats wouldn't try it. They're not that stupid. But the law is already written that churches, the pastor of your church or whatever, he cannot on the pulpit or whatever, or in the church, be saying politics, and that's already the law. But nobody, there's nobody in Congress or nobody who wants to be president of the United States or whatever that's going to, say, well, that Baptist minister who's been, supporting Trump and whoever it was, doing that, he has, so his church, that part, it wouldn't be the entire thing, but it's they have to pay taxes. But there's nobody who's got the guts, and I don't blame them. You talk about the third rail of the thing it used to be. It's not anymore. I don't think it used to be that members of Congress and everybody knew you don't you don't mess with Social Security. You don't try to cut people's Social Security. You don't try to do this. You don't try to do that. You do not touch Social Security. And same with Medicare. You don't touch, nobody's going to touch it. But actually the Republicans have been, Bush came up with, just before remember the crash that happened when Bush was president, they came up with they were going to privatize. Oh, great news. We're going to privatize Social Security. And instead of a Social Security, what we're going to do is that money is going to go into a fund, that then you will get money out of that fund, or we're going to give you the money. Oh, that was a thing they were doing, until things crashed right about that time. Okay, what we're going to do is we're not going to put it into Social Security for you. No, that's not going to last. Social Security is not going to last. And of course I told everybody, yeah, Social Security is going to last. But so what they wanted to do was, okay, we're going to give you the money. But of course the thing is, there would have been, okay, we're going to give you the money, but now you have to invest the money. But you get to invest it how you want to invest it. But you have to go through, Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Finner, and Smith, who went bust, by the way, when, you have to put the money there. So you'd have, bankers, stockbrokers, they would be handling the Social Security money and, ripping it off and doing all that type of stuff. So, yeah, there's things that you could do, but it's entrenched, and Democrats and Republicans, they really wouldn't know what to do coming up with something that was fair and a good way to do it, because they're so used to, But it could all be figured out, and I think it probably already has been figured out. Some people probably have come up with a plan and probably, went to the White House. I have this perfect plan for solving the problem of whatever, and the presidential advisors are, oh shit, no, 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 no. This would be, we couldn't do this, we couldn't do that, and so this has only been 20 minutes. You know what I would like to do, but I can't do it. I don't want to hear my own voice also. Even after I make a video, I not only my own, not only do I not want to hear my voice, but I also don't want to hear what I'm saying. But by the way, if you happen to run across something old, especially old, if you happen to run across it and you watch it, and the only problem is you'd have to watch the entire thing. If I wouldn't mind at all if I don't want to go through. I don't know how many thousands of videos I've got. But if you'd tell me, hey, this one sucks, this one is no good, or this one is about somebody, a news story about somebody that, passed away, years ago or something. It just, let me know what it is, and I guess if you tell me I can't trust you, you may be a Trump supporter, and you go find a video where I said something about Trump, and then you come and say, that Jim, that's I'm your buddy. That video you made a video back such and such a time, and it really isn't, current, and the information is sort of wrong and whatever, and whatever. I'd have to go back and listen to myself. Problem is my videos are so long that I have multiple subjects in them, I might have made a video about something in this video. It might be something that's just totally, nobody knows about, nobody remembers the incident or anything, something like that. But if I go back and just, I'd have to watch the entire thing, because there might be an excellent thing in there on something else, So, but if you know of something bad that I made, let me know, and I'll try to go check it out. And if it really is something, I'm sure there is. I'm sure there were like news stories or something, and it was big talk right at that time. Because I remember some a long time ago that I made, like something popped up and in the news, and I was like, oh shit. And then I go and then I'd make a video about it. And then, and especially like I remember things earlier where, man, I nailed it, I said, oh, this is what's really happened is, this and that. That was all, all correct because I'm so smart, right? Yeah. But then like a day or two later, there would be some people leaving a thing saying, you were totally wrong, But it was totally wrong. I was totally right. But the information that comes out, the things, changed, And, but yeah, if there's stuff that's, I ran across something, that's what makes me think of this is, I ran across something, some news story, and I commented on it, and information came out that, when I did my video, and I made that clear, something just happened, and here's what I think, took place, and here's what I think will happen. And then the next day or whatever, the news comes out, oh, such and such, really didn't happen, and this didn't happen, and so the thing, so I do not have psychic powers, So anyway, if you come up with something, I wish there was some utility that was dependable that would go through and could scan it. What I need to do is make shorter videos and try to keep them on one subject. And it looks like this subject's been politics. But I definitely need, I know, and you've told me, and I do need to, one subject. Keep it on one subject, and then and then I can index it as best I can. I hate doing that. The things you really need to do if you're a YouTuber, a lot of those things, I don't want to do them. They're work. I don't have a problem running my mouth off or whatever. And but I have a problem going through and indexing everything. And that's what you need to do. Anyway, maybe my rule should be 30 minutes. No video longer than 30 minutes, no matter what it is. I wonder, probably all these things, especially some of them that, of course, by the way, YouTube loves long videos. They love it because that lets them put commercials in. In fact, I think your video has to be 7 minutes or something like that before you can monetize it. It has to be at least that much before they'll monetize it. I think it's 7 minutes, maybe it's 6. But if you make a 30-minute video, I don't know how many, one commercial maybe or something. If you make a hour video, they can put maybe three. I pay for, what is it? I pay for a bunch of stuff. I pay for YouTube commercial or whatever that is. So I never see any of the, as far as I know, no commercial thing appears in, but some of you may see things popping up. And not that I get hardly any money at all from YouTube commercials. Really, you should pay for the, whatever they call it. It's a small amount of money. YouTube, what is it, YouTube, whatever. Then you don't see the commercials. And what YouTube does is take then the money that comes in for commercials, whatever, and they divide that among everybody, not equally. I mean, if somebody has, 2 million viewers, and I have 150 viewers, they're not gonna divide this by how many people, they're gonna do the math is done, and I get, $1.50 or something, and the other person that has, millions of viewers, he gets more than, naturally. That's the way it should work, I am looking at the clock here, by the way, and I guess I've got time to say, please subscribe and click the whatever that is, where you get a notice, and I guess do a thumbs up. I'm not sure that really helps. I guess it does. I guess it enters somehow in there. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. By the way, I'm going to try not to do political. I've tried before, but I've always been, even when I was in grade school, I was watching the Kefauver hearings and others at home. I'd skip school and stay home and watch, the hearings and stuff like that. Anyway, thank you very much for watching.